This is a message for those of you who have become single parents either by choice or just you realized you didn't want to continue living this lie and you decided you're going to start doing your life differently. Listen, I want to say something for those of you who are single moms. This is a time in your life where a lot of things are not going to make sense. You're going to feel a lot of emotions, a range of emotions. Give yourself permission to feel the range of emotions. But here's what I want to say, and listen to Coach Meg. At the end of the day, it is entirely up to you what you decide to do with your life. Your circumstances are completely different, but you will not be a prisoner of your story the rest of your life. Hear me good. You will not be a prisoner of this part of your journey the rest of your life. You're going to have to start making some different decisions, some power moves. Yes? I want you to feel all the emotions, go through everything. Don't be in denial. Just accept how things are and be willing to go through all of it, because this is how we process our emotions in a healthy way and come out on the other side. It's when people refuse to accept the emotions that they're feeling, they're denying it, that then there's no healthy processing and that can lead to long-term illness. I have a healthcare background. I did healthcare for too many years, actually. So I just want to speak to you because there are some topics we're going to be discussing going forward. And if you want to speak to somebody who has gone through the mud, the swamp, and come out safely on the other side, everyone involved, except for those that chose not to. Um, you're talking to somebody who understands that. You will have to take 100%, 150% responsibility for your emotions. You do not want temporary emotions to ruin the rest of your life, the rest of your journey. Because what's happened is a temporary event. It's not permanent. Yes? And you get to decide the kind of person you're going to become. You get to decide if you're going to spend the rest of your life in this place of limitation, this place of anger, this place of just being a bitter person. Because remember, it's you both chose each other, right? And in the same way, you can start making different choices. Because one of the things that I had to learn on my own journey is there was a while where I was just like, oh, if he had done this and he had done that, I gave him too much power. And that was a big mistake on my part. And I'm not embarrassed to admit it. It was a big mistake on my part. And I guess I had to go through that to understand what I coach and teach about now. Because this applies in all other relationships. Sometimes it's your parents. There has to come a point where you decide to forgive them for the mistakes of their choices. It can be your children. You have to decide to own your emotions around them. Like, how are you perceiving what your children are doing? What's your perception of what your children are doing? What's your perception of what your parents are doing or friends, whoever they are? At the end of the day, you own the power for your decisions. You own the decision. Yes, you own the emotion. You decide, how am I going to respond to it? Because there comes a time where you can't keep responding to the same triggers the same way, because then that is how those triggers control the rest of your life. And maybe this may be controversial for some, but think about it this way. Having come from a healthcare background, who wants to be a patient the rest of their lives? Who wants to be depending on a nurse or a doctor the rest of their life? Even these professionals, they cannot look after you 24/7. Even if they do, like, let's say, for example, in the home care industry, right, where you support the elderly, concierge services or live-in care and all this, there comes a point where that person has to take a break. You cannot be the person who another individual is 100% responsible for. If any of you are doing this, you have to stop doing that. You have to stop making people think you will always be there for them, because that's creating an unhealthy codependency. You cannot be everything to another person. Nobody's God. That is why we have one of these issues. And I know some of you may not like it the way I'm saying it, but this is going to be helpful to you. Sometimes the most helpful things come across like a slap, like, whoa, snap out of it, give yourself a break. If you have to support somebody who's dealing with a long-term illness. I appreciate you and I appreciate your heart. But having come from that background, you have to snap out of it. Do not be that person that makes it come across like you the only one they can depend on. That's not true. That's a lie. That is absolutely a lie. You cannot. Because I've done that kind of work. 12 hours round the clock, 24 hours. So do not lie to yourself and do not lie to other people. For example, you may feel like you're the only one that a family member can trust, right? To a degree. But there comes a time where you cannot. You will need time to go shopping. You will need time to go and attend an interview. You will need time to start developing your own hobbies. You will need time to start developing your own life. I've seen this in all sorts of cultures where somebody doesn't actually have a life. And my heart goes out to you if you feel like you don't have a life, you feel like you have to support the family member, right? But please do it out of a place of power and kindness and love and a place of objectivity, not from a place of resentment and guilt. Because when you're supporting a family member, I'm going off topic a little bit here, but this, I'm going to round it up. When you're supporting a family member from a place of guilt and resentment, they'll feel it. They can feel it. And this is what causes fights. This is what causes resentment. This is what causes just, I can't stand you, but somehow I have to deal with it. And this is what some families need safeguarding. There are some family members, you're not the right one to support your family member because there's too much history between you two or between you three. So you need to hire a professional outside objective person. I actually do that service. I do the coaching for families who have an elderly family member they have to support. We do risk assessment. We look through what type of support will you need, right? That's one of the things that we will do. We look at the assessment. We look at your living situation. We look at who else can help. What can different family members do? It's a whole program, right? And initially, ideally, I suggest we do like 90 days. Yes, so that we have the right support in place. It can go on 6 months, it can go on a year. I support you remotely. We get somebody in place, or whether it means, because sometimes a family member is not safe to be at home, it may mean they have to go into a residential facility. So that's one of the things that we do. And I speak from a place of objectivity, from a place of many years in healthcare, and from a place of I have done this and I've seen what works and what doesn't work. So it is good to be honest with yourself, to manage expectations really well. So going back to the single parenting thing, one of the things that can be difficult is to understand that, oh, now it is my responsibility to manage my emotions well and not to put so much responsibility on an ex partner. Yes, that is too much power. You're not with that person anymore. So are they going to control the rest of your life? Think about it this way. Are you going to allow them to control the rest of your life? I don't think so. Nobody in their right mind wants that. So you owe it to yourself to get all the help you need. And the healing journey takes however it takes for all of us. Do not measure your healing according to somebody else. It takes whatever it takes. Yes? And if you are serious about this, you're like, I'm tired of being down on myself. I'm tired of being this kind of parent to my children. Because think about it this way, you also have a responsibility to the children who are watching you, how you are taking care of you, and how you are relating and dealing with your ex. Sometimes, if an ex is a total narcissist, a clean break is the best way. I kid you not. You are better off doing things by yourself. I see so many people trying to make things work with somebody who will never, ever agree with you under any condition. This is a hard thing to accept. Took me a moment. It's a hard thing to accept that there are some people they will not accept, they will, unless they can have their way, they're a complete child, they will not accept anything else. So you have to be willing to decide, I must build my amazing life. In fact, that's the best revenge. Start building your amazing life. That's the best revenge, actually. Decide that's just another human being. Why am I giving them that type of power? Don't do that. Listen, if you want to know more, get in touch with me. Let's do this. Speak to you soon.